Let's turn to Israel now. Their Western allies are deeply divided over what? The arrest warrant for Benjamin Netanyahu. The warrant has not been issued yet, but prosecutors at the ICC are asking for it. That's the International Criminal Court, the ICC. If issued, this warrant would put Western nations in a tough spot. Some of them do recognize the ICC, like France, Germany, and Italy. So technically, they must arrest Netanyahu on their soil. But the question is, will they? This is where the divisions emerge. France and Germany have supported the ICC, so have countries like Sweden and Denmark. They say rule of law must be followed. But the old Anglosphere gang is against it. I'm talking about Britain and the US. Joe Biden has already rejected the warrant bid, and now Rishi Sunak has joined in. The British Prime Minister says it's an unhelpful development.
Deeply unhelpful development. Of course, it's still subject to a final decision, but it remains deeply unhelpful nonetheless. There is no moral equivalence between a democratic state exercising its lawful right to self-defense and the terrorist group Hamas.
It's not a problem for the US. They do not accept the ICC's jurisdiction, so warrants do not matter to them. In fact, US Republicans are looking to host Prime Minister Netanyahu. They want him to address the US Congress. But for the UK, it's different. They do accept the ICC's jurisdiction. So if a warrant is issued, they will face a tough choice. And Rishi Sunak may have rejected the warrant, but he's not taking on the ICC. He's choosing his words carefully. The US, though, is in full attack mode. Their Congress is considering punitive action against the International Criminal Court. In other words, they want sanctions. But any such move will need President Biden's support. Will the president give it? His top diplomat was asked this question. Listen to his response.
We want to work with you on a bipartisan basis to find an appropriate response. I'm committed to doing that. As you say, the devil's in the details, so let's see what you got, and we can take it from there.
It's not a yes, but it's also not a no, and that is a worrying response from Blinken. He's talking about sanctioning a court, and not just any court, a global court recognized by more than 120 countries. It would be a very dangerous move, although not an unprecedented one. Let me take you back to 2002. The US Congress passed a similar legislation. It was nicknamed the Hague Invasion Act. The Hague is where the ICC is located. And what did this law say? That the US must use, and I'm quoting, any means necessary to free US leaders from the Hague. Suppose a US politician is arrested or a US general is being prosecuted, then Washington can even use force to free him. Hence the nickname, the Hague Invasion Act. So the US does have bad blood with the ICC, but this time it's a lot more complicated. For starters, the ICC is not prosecuting American leaders, they're chasing Israeli leaders. Secondly, many Americans agree with the warrant or the warrant bid. Let me show you what happened at a congressional hearing. Senator Lindsey Graham was speaking to Antony Blinken. He said if warrants are issued for Netanyahu, then US leaders would be next. Listen to how the crowd responded.
We, hopefully, together will find a way to register our displeasure with the ICC, because if they'll do this to Israel, we're next. This group tried to come after our soldiers. Yeah, you can clap all you want to.
They started clapping. It tells you what US public opinion is. And that should worry Benjamin Netanyahu. In the short run, this warrant bid could benefit him. Joe Biden is supporting him again. Even his domestic rivals have offered support. But what about the long run? Just look at the charges against Netanyahu. Starvation of civilians, intentional attack on civilians, and murder/extermination. These are crimes against humanity. If proven, it could further destroy Israel's credibility. It could make Israel a pariah. In fact, it's already happening. 3 European nations have decided to recognize Palestine as a country: Ireland, Spain, and Norway. The announcement was made today. It will be implemented on the 28th of May. Listen to how the Spanish leader justified his move.
And if one thing is clear to me, it is that Prime Minister Netanyahu has no peace project for Palestine. Fighting the terrorist group is legitimate and necessary after the events of October 7th. But Netanyahu is creating so much pain and so much destruction and so much rancor in Gaza and the rest of Palestine that the viability of two-state solution is in serious danger.
Does this change anything? On the ground, no. Palestine still doesn't have its own territory, so by extension, it's not a country. But politically, this is significant. It shows how isolated Israel is becoming. They're lashing out at these three countries. Israel's ambassadors have been recalled from there, so Netanyahu is in no mood to climb down. But can he afford this isolation? The US too has carried out many crimes against humanity, but the US has a huge economy and a big military. So no one wants to isolate them. Israel cannot risk that. It's not America. It's a point that we made before in Russia's context. A war is not just about military wins, it's also about political wins. Right now, Israel is winning on the battlefield, but it's losing the political war.
Firstpost reports from the world's second largest continent. Hello, I'm Alison Lagrange. A very warm welcome from Durban, South Africa. We get you the news and the newsmakers from Africa. South Africa goes to the polls on the 29th of May. I will track the election and bring you ground reports. Is it the end of the road for the African National Congress? And will former President Jacob Zuma stage a dramatic comeback? From elections to climate change, to innovations and opportunities. As the world's attention shifts, we report from Africa, the heart of the global South. Join me every weekday live on Firstpost.